What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I really thought this was going to be a standalone book. Lo and behold, I get to the end of it and it says to be continued, and I was like, oh my god. This book has also been recommended to me so many times, and I've been really excited to read it from the second it came out. It just wasn't ever available at my library, so I was like, okay, I'll have to buy it. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to get my hands on it. So when I went to the bookstore and I saw it, I'm like, yes, now is finally the time. For those of you who don't know, These Violent Delights is a tale of Romeo and Juliet. These violent delights have violent ends, but it is set in 1926 in Shanghai in the midst of a gang war. Our Romeo in this book is from a Russian mafia called the White Flowers, and our Juliet is a girl who is part of a notorious Shanghai gang called the Scarlet Gang, and she is basically the princess, the heiress of this gang. He's kind of the heir to the other gang. And what I really, really liked about it is that they already know each other. Like, the thing with Romeo and Juliet that always gets me is that I do feel like everything happens like really fast, because it is kind of like that new love and everything happens so fast and so quickly, and then they fall so hard, and then it does end so tragically. What I like with this book is that it gives them a lot of space and a lot of breathing room, which I really enjoy. This book actually picks up about 4 years after Roma and Juliet kind of had their falling out. Like, they came together, they became friends, they became lovers, and then something happened. And then Juliet goes away to America, and when she comes back, like, something is happening here in Shanghai. There's rumors of a monster going around, there's this madness that is making people kill themselves, and it does all fall to Roma and Juliet to figure out what's happening in order to save this city. What I really liked about this too is that Shanghai in the 20s is like full of like so much cool history. Just the way that the city was fought over by so many different people, like the rise of communism is kind of happening as well. So to see how all of that plays in, and to see how like these two characters really want to save their city and like save their home, and that's kind of what brings them back together, was really interesting, and I really, really enjoyed that. It makes me want to read more or like find out more about what was going on in the city, like for real, outside of like a monster that has like all these things that like make you want to kill yourself and all that kind of stuff. But it just was really, really awesome to see that. So speaking of the monster, this is definitely like a horror story. Like, These Violent Delights, like, this is a very violent book. Whenever a character like gets infected by this madness, they do go crazy and rip their throats out. So I will give a content warning. Like, there are a lot of very graphic descriptions of these deaths in this book. And since they are, you know, within gangs, there are a lot of shootings that happen. There's like a lot of stabbing. Like, it's a very violent, graphic story, but I do think it was done really well. I think the prose were written very beautifully, and I honestly think that like setting Romeo and Juliet within this context was like the best decision you could ever make. It just fits so well, like within the context of the gangs, within the context of, you know, like this life and death, and like loving somebody so much that you want to save them even though they're gonna hate you in the end for it. Like, it just worked so beautifully. It added like a whole nother layer to the drama, and it made me really, really excited to see where these characters are gonna go next. Aside from Roma and Juliet, I really love the background characters as well. There is a trans character that actually has a POV. She is such a cool character, and I really think the author did such a good job of like explaining kind of her backstory without like putting in like these buzzwords or like making it feel too forced. Like, it just felt so organic, and like honestly, I want a whole book from Kathleen's perspective. I want to see like Kathleen's whole backstory. I want to follow her throughout everything. I would live and die for her. I hope she gets happiness in the end of this book. I have a feeling nobody's gonna get happiness by the end, but I really loved Kathleen. She was amazing. I also really loved Benedict and Marshall. Like, Mercutio is such a great character in Romeo and Juliet, and to have him be Marshall in this book, like, it just worked so perfectly. I ship him and Benedict so hard. I cannot wait to see where that's gonna go. And overall, like, I was constantly guessing, like, is there a real monster? Like, what exactly is going on? Who is behind this madness? Like, what is the reason? Like, what are we trying to do here? And like, what broke Roma and Juliet apart? Like, what happened that like tore these two apart so violently? Like, I was constantly guessing, and like as you would get those answers, it just like fell so perfectly. My only gripe with this book is that I do think it got a little bit slow. It is a tad long, but I'm wondering if it's gonna be like a duology instead of a trilogy, because I kind of feel like you get so much in this book that we're kind of setting up to go into like Endgame. I don't know how familiar everybody is with Romeo and Juliet, but kind of like the final acts of like Romeo and Juliet within like maybe a second book would seem like paced pretty well to me. So I'm excited to see like what's gonna happen with that. Overall, I am giving this book an A+. I would really recommend it, but keep in mind that like content warning, there is a lot of graphic violence in this book. But overall, I just, it was so well done. It really made me excited about Romeo and Juliet, and I hope everybody gets a happy ending, but I have a feeling that these violent delights are going to have violent ends, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything I got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.